Hello everyone, I'm Michele DeLuca for the Niagara Gazette. Today we're in front of the Niagara Arts and Cultural Center at the corner of Portage and Pine to meet the new director of the NACC, as we call it. This is Kevin Leary, and today we're going to learn a lot about him and talk about his plans for the future of this wonderful place.
Let's go inside, Michele.
All right.
Let's check it out, right?
Let's check it out. Let's do it.
I'm so excited about this new reign here, about the freshness you're bringing to the Niagara Arts and Cultural Center. I know one of the things that I saw in the press release was that you want people to talk to you. You want
Yes.
people to contribute their thoughts about where the NACC has been, where it's going, what their hopes are.
Yes, I mean, our feeling is the NACC is a community center as much as it is an arts and cultural center, right? And so how do we best serve the community? By listening, right? What we do here, we want to be reflective of our community, and we want to be sure that everything that's on our stages, everything that's in our galleries, everything that's in our gym, everything there is representative of things the community wants us to be doing. And not just this community, like Niagara Falls community, but Niagara County in general, right? So I'm always listening. Pick up the phone, write me an email.
Write an email.
Come to the NACC and just find me in the main office. I'm always there and I'm ready for the conversation.
Let's learn a little bit more about who you are and where you've been.
Sure.
I like to start from the very beginning.
Okay.
So, where were you born?
Yeah, I was born in Lexington, Kentucky.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, very.
Southerner. You have no
Southerner,
drawl.
well, I would call myself Southerner. My parents were both born up here in the Northeast, and they were down there because my dad had a job at Transylvania University, right opposite the big boys in town, University of Kentucky. And he actually got a job when I was 3 years old at St. Bonaventure University in Olean, New York.
Oh, what a wonderful place.
It is a fantastic place. It was a great place to be raised. I was there from when I was about 4 all the way up until I was, moving to New York City as an actor.
You moved to New York City as an actor. That's
Yes, I
tremendous.
did.
One step back, where'd you go to college?
I went to college at Wright State University.
I thought you were going to say St. Bonaventure.
No. I'll take a step back even further. When I was a child, when I was in the 7th and 8th grades, I actually performed at Art Park up here in Niagara County.
not.
Yes, I did. So, and my parents, God bless them, they drove me back and forth to rehearsals on a daily basis.
Was this
in
your
the
first
spring.
introduction into theater? How'd you get a role at Art Park?
Yeah, actually, it was my first foray into professional theater. It started actually as on a whim. I had just done a production of Oliver in my community theater down in Olean, and my vocal teacher was like, well, they're doing this production of Oliver up at Art Park. Maybe you should audition. And so we were like, sure, why not? Let's go up, let's see what it's about, right? And so we went up, had a great experience, and was shocked when we were driving home and they cast me. And it was a delightful experience.
Were you cast as one of the young
one
Fabians?
of Fagin's boys, one of the orphans and things like that.
That music is still in my head. My brother was in that play when I was little.
Oh yeah, I mean it's such a fun show, and it's a great show for families and things like that. And so we did that, and that sort of started my professional acting career. I did a national tour when I was in high school. Of Camelot.
Oh wow,
actually.
What role did you have then?
I was Tom of Warwick and just like a page. Nowadays they wouldn't cast a kid to do it because the expenses are too much, right? They would cast an adult who looked young and use him for the rest of the show, but they still used a kid back then, and that was a lot of fun. And then I did stock productions in the summers in Warren, Pennsylvania, and then that's where I met the director of the musical theater program at Wright State University, and he said, Kevin, we really want you to come to Wright State and study with us because we think you're going to have a career. And I said, sounds great, right? Like any sort of young actor would. And we looked at the program. The program seemed very good. It seemed competitive. It had a good dance program, which was important for me because I had a background as a dancer. And we felt like it was going to prepare me. And then, so after college, moved to New York City. And 3 weeks later, I had booked a national tour.
For?
The Music Man. I was Tommy Gilas in The Music Man. Had a delightful time for 2 years touring the country.
That does sound
being a young ruffian, right? Yeah, sure, why not?
Of course.
Yeah, of course, as one would.
As one would. That is the kind of introduction I think to theater that is so fun for young people. So now how somehow that got.
Yeah, so we did 2 years of Music Man. I worked with the same production company on a national tour of 42nd Street that they had. So I did that for 2 more years. And then a relationship brought me back to Buffalo, And so, you know, I was finding odd jobs. I was actually a landscaper for a period of time while I was a stage manager, while I was a dance teacher. And, you know, that was happening. And I then got a job at Goodspeed Opera House. One of my colleagues who I'd worked with on 42nd Street said, we really want you to come and be the assistant director on Singin' in the Rain. And I said,
oh, that's one of my
oh,
favorite
let me
movies.
tell you. I mean, and Goodspeed had gotten permission to reimagine the Broadway, the adaptation that was done for stage by Comden and Green. And so the director wanted to look just like the movie, and man, he did it. And it was so much fun. And we got to do some of the original MGM choreography with that, you know, Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor did, and so like
And
learning.
of course the rain.
And of course
that
the
had to be
rain, and
big
it
fun.
rained every night, and it was so much fun. And actually, at the end of the show, it rained a second time during curtain call, and
Oh,
they had
that's
this
beautiful.
long ballet sequence that they did that all of us got to dance in the rain with, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
a delightful experience. And then I came back to Buffalo, and I had a position in the arts management program at the University of Buffalo. I was an administrative assistant, you know, pushing paper, making things happen and things like that. And another opportunity came along to go back out on the road with the first national tour of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And I was going to be the assistant director and also the male swing and the assistant choreographer and all sorts of things. And it was one of those opportunities you're like, it's just too good to pass up. I mean, it was the right credential at that time in my career. And so I said, okay, let's do this. Let's make this thing happen. I was in the relationship, right? I mean, but you know, you talk to people and you work things out, and everything happens, and we all know how that goes, right? And it was a great experience. It was wonderful. And while I was on it, I said to myself, there must be something more than $2 million flying car.
Really?
Right? Yeah, right. I mean, I'll never forget it. We were sitting there, and it sort of leads into why I'm like here now. Because it was at that point where I was like, the arts should do more than just service entertainment.
Well,
There we are.
here we are.
Drop. Boom.
Yes, that is a mic drop moment. The arts should do just more than just serve as entertainment.
That's
It's
correct.
an absolutely beautiful life motto.
Yes, it is.
Particularly if you've just landed in the spot that you were in
That's
as
correct.
executive director of
That's
the Niagara
correct.
Arts and Cultural Center. So that's magnificent, and it puts you really in the thick of all arts,
Mhm.
which, you know, there's music and there's acting and
Mhm.
theater and plays, of course, go with the acting. And, but I know there's so
concerts
much more.
and
There's
music
concerts
and media and the garden work that's happening outside and
galleries.
and there's so much. There's so much here.
There's
Yes.
so much.
But I think the most important thing, and you sort of touched on this at the beginning, is that the NACC is nothing without the people it serves. It's nothing without the audiences that come and visit our spaces. It's nothing without the tenants and artists that we have in this building. I mean, we're talking, we house over 100 artists, I think, in our spaces that we have, like that we rent out, and plus the common shared spaces that we use. This is an ecosystem. And ecosystems is more than just one person producing. It's this environment in which all of us are getting something out of it. And the Niagara Falls community is a part of that ecosystem.
That's a beautiful way to phrase it. An artistic ecosystem. But
Yes.
but beyond, it's if artistry is actually life,
Yes.
and the colors and the joy that you bring to your own life,
Mhm.
a lot of that can start right here.
Oh,
which is what
definitely.
I've always thought.
Yes.
So, artistry in life,
Yes.
and how it colors a person's life, how it
Mhm.
colors a community.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that as kind of the framework for the work you hope to do here?
Yes. We're developing something right now where we're using sort of like tagline that is, your creative journey starts here. As you indicated, the NACC is not about one art. It's about all arts. And it's more than about just professional practice or artists doing it. It's about experience, right? So we're coming at it like this, right? So all the arts, and we're coming at like this, all of the expertise levels in between. And there is a home for every single person on that spectrum inside that little box. And that's actually, it's not a little box, it's a big box,
It's a
right?
big box,
And
yeah.
we want to make sure that every single person feels like they are welcomed here for who they are, for what they are, and what they want to experience. And there are 365 days in the year. We have at least 4 community spaces in this building. We have resident artists in 75 different studios in our building. Certainly, there is a place for everybody.
Possibly even a place for you.
There is a place for you. I'm going to say, take the possibly out of it. There is a place for you.
Good. Well, let's talk to the people who might be watching this.
Sure.
And they're sitting at home and they're watching the new director of the NACC, and they might know a little history of the NACC. That it was the former Niagara Falls High School,
Yes.
and then it might have been destroyed or maybe stood vacant for years. But a group of devoted volunteers about 20 some years ago decided that wouldn't happen, and they created an environment where art could occur in so many different ways. And the fact that this place thrives today is a testament to their hard work.
To their hard work.
But now, for those of you sitting at home watching this or on your cell phone, hopefully not while you're driving, but in your car, maybe waiting for someone to come out of school.
Safety first, right?
Yeah, safety first. What does that have to do with them, with people like me who aren't necessarily painters or performers?
Yeah, so our resident artists, our tenants, are only one small facet of what it is that we do here. While they create art, and we are a maker space, and all of our artists are creating, and we do have classes where, you know, little Susie and little Johnny can learn how to paint and learn how to be on stage, and they can take dance down the hall and things like that. That's all fantastic and wonderful, but we're also a place where people can experience art. So if you want to see a really awesome comedy show, if you want to see a really awesome musical, if you want to take in a movie at Christmas time, if you want to do anything like that, this can be a home for what it is that you want to do. And this is what we were talking about earlier. I want to know what it is that you want to see happen here. If we're going to be serving the residents of Niagara Falls, if we're going to be serving the tourists that come down the street, we want to know what you want to see, because that's why we're here. At the end of the day, there are lots of arts organizations in this country that produce art for other people to see because they think people are going to want to enjoy it. And I don't think there are as many arts organizations that say, what do you want? What are your interests? What are, like, the stuff that you see on stages, maybe that's not, maybe you've had a bad experience, and that's something that you actually don't want to see, and you felt like somebody dragged you there, or you left it and said, what did I just do with that 2.5 hours? We want to stay away from those sorts of experiences, and we want to get to, what is it you want to see? Is it a rock concert, right? Is it a country concert? Is it a rap concert? I don't know what it is, but that's where we want to be involved in your lives, is to say, do you have an arts experience or a cultural experience or an entertainment experience that you want, that you don't see someplace in Western New York? It could happen here. Let's imagine it together, and let's make it happen together.
Wonderful. That's so inviting. I have to say, from a personal experience, I took singing classes, and I daydreamed about learning how to play drums so I could join a rock and roll band.
Well, why not?
Of like-minded performers in my generation. In any event, little bit about you. You now live, you told me a couple years ago you moved your family to Lewiston.
Yes.
So you already are a Niagara County resident.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
And tell me a little bit about your life, your wife, your kids, where you met.
Oh, sure.
I just need a version that will allow us to get to know you.
Sure. So I had just finished, touring, and I went back and I started doing choreography for high school musicals. And so, I was doing that, and I was working at Maryville High School in Cheektowaga. And my wife, now, I was actually married, and that relationship did not work out. Things happen, we get
Things
that.
happen.
It's the 21st century in America, right?
That's
I
right.
am an American dad, right? Or whatever that is, sort of stealing a line from You've Got Mail. So I was at Maryville, and my now wife, that was her first teaching gig. And so we started working on musicals together. She was the music director, because she's a choral director, and I was a choreographer, and we got to working together, and it was purely professional at first. It was just like, this person has professional values that I respect. I have professional values that she respects, And, you know, it eventually we became very good friends, and then we became more than friends, right? Which is sort of how these relationships happen, and it was great. I mean, she is more than anything my best friend first. We share everything together. I thank her for knowing me and for accepting me for who I am. And it's delightful, it's wonderful. It's the relationship that, you know, everyone always wants to have, and I feel blessed and fortunate to have it. And maybe I'm blushing right now, I don't know.
You're a little bit, but it's so romantic. And not to mention, she's going to have fun here as well.
Yes, so of course she
With her
will,
music
right?
background,
Of
of
course, yes. There are some things already in the works, but stay tuned, right? Nothing ready to be divulged yet, but definitely.
Not all the secrets here today.
No.
One of the things I read in the press release
Yes.
was that the interest you have is more than anything is creating a
Yes.
world, a better place for your kids.
For our kids.
You have some energy to devote
Yeah.
to making their world more colorful and vibrant and interesting and exciting.
Yes. Oh, definitely. So when my daughter was born, it was one of those moments in life where you sort of recognize this is what I'm supposed to do now, right? Like, this is the most important thing. When my son came along a year and a half later, it just added to that sort of joy. And so all of a sudden, all of the life decisions we were making were thrown through this filter of what is best for our kids. And I know everybody out there feels the same way, right? I mean, when you have kids, they become your central focus, and that's not a bad thing. It's not like I've lost my identity in my kids or something like that. It's that I want their world to be as good as it possibly can be. I want them to obviously grow up and they know rules. I'm not into coddling or things like that, but what's the best possible environment we can give them? And for me, that's a life filled with art, it's a life filled with creativity, and it's a life filled with exploration. And one of the things my wife and I talked a lot about when this opportunity came along is it's going to be a lot of work, and Dad might not be at home as much as Dad had been in previous positions. And is that going to be good for our family? And the resounding answer was yes, because if nothing else, kids can come here and experience the great programming that this building has to offer. And so any time that they might spend here with Dad because Mom's off, being a choral teacher at Kenmore West High School, that has responsibilities and things like that, they're coming here, but it's not like they're wasting away. They're experiencing an enriching, creative environment. And what could be better for our kids? And also, when I'm thinking about programming this building, I'm thinking about them. I've got a family, you've got a family. What's good for my kids is probably going to be good for your kids too. And so they're going to help me guide programming decisions. And also, they're going to be my best critics, I'm sure. I'm going to do some programming and be like, what do you guys think? It wasn't that good. Well, maybe we'll skip that next time and we'll do something else,
Have another
right?
look at it.
We'll have another look, exactly.
All right, so we're heading up the steps to the second floor, your office.
Yes.
And it looks like any other office, so we don't have to see that, but I do want people to see just a glimpse of the Grand Theater, because I want them to hear your reaction to it when you first saw it and how you felt about it.
Yeah, so when I was applying for the job, and you hear things like, well, we're located in an old high school and we've got this really great theater. As somebody who has a theater background, and I've performed in a lot of different venues across this country and actually over the world, you think to yourself, is it really a great theater? Is it something that tourists and other folks can feel like it's a professional venue? And I walked into this space and I looked up at the ceiling and I said to myself, that could be a professional space.
Let's go. Let's
see it.
do that again. So you walked in.
I walked in and I looked up at the ceiling and I saw this beautiful decorative plaster, and I thought to myself, this reminds me of civic memorial auditoriums that are seen throughout the country, and it's right here in a high school waiting to be renovated. And so that's what we're doing, right? And that was a big thing for Kathy Cadella, our first executive director, and it's been a huge part of our mission ever since.
This really, truly is
An absolute gem.
an absolute.
An absolute gem, and this will be a wonderful venue, not just for Niagara Falls, but for all of Western New York. I had a theater professional in here just this past week, and we were talking about different spaces in Buffalo that have this sort of capacity. And when we have a new stage house on this stage, and we can fly scenery in and out, and we have this beautiful somewhere between 900 and 1,000 seats. It'll depend on the remodel. Depending on how many seats we have, this will be one of the few venues in Western New York that's a professional venue that can seat this many people on this size of a stage with this sort of technical capability. It will be an absolute gem for Niagara Falls.
Great.
That ceiling, I mean, my God, that ceiling.
We were just talking a bit ago also about some of your other plans, because you kind of have your eye on more family events and more ways to draw tourists into this building. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. My background, I used to be the managing director at Theater of Youth in downtown Buffalo, and I'm always amazed at just how much parents will do for their children. And now as a parent, I totally get it, right? I mean, we've talked about this. I will do anything for my children if my children want to see something, and I'm sure that I'm not the only parent in Western New York that feels this way. And so as a community-centered organization, one that is interested in bringing all of the community to our space, we're going to be concentrating more on offering things for families. What do families want to see? What do families want to experience? Is it classes? Is it performances on stages? Is it different gallery exhibits? But things that a family can think to themselves, it's Saturday afternoon, maybe it's a little bit rainy, I want to go someplace indoors and experience something, I'm going to go to the NACC. Hopefully we build in programming in our future that serves that community. Can't wait, can't wait.
Me too.
Well, that's a wonderful story. Do you have anything to add that our viewers might want? We want to remind them to contact you.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I mean, always contact me. That's the best way to go. I prefer email. I'm an email guy, so it's kleary@thenac.org. If you've got ideas, big, small, it doesn't matter. I'm always open to the conversation, because our future is going to be best when we're listening to you.
And our futures are intertwined in
Yes,
this
they are.
building.
Yes, they are.
For those who take advantage of the wonderful, colorful, magnificent things happening here.
Definitely. Definitely.
Now, Kevin's going to be in charge of all that, so emails, good idea. All right, come down and see what they have here.